this episode of An Engineer's Journey, I interview Brian Mejeur, an aerospace engineer that went to the University of Michigan and now is the founder of AdAstra. Hello, everyone. My name is Connor Dixon, and this is.
Hey everybody, my name is Brian Mejeur. I'm an aerospace engineer by training, and I worked at SpaceX as a propulsion engineer, spanning about 7 years before I did an early stint in operations and early stage startup. And now I am a founder, business owner, and our COO and CTO of AdAstra Talent Advisors, where we partner with early stage hard tech startups spanning from clean energy, other clean tech, and space and defense industries. We're placing specifically highly technical engineers and executive leaders. So I now leverage my engineering knowledge to help other engineers hire engineers, essentially.
And what inspired you to become an engineer? Was there a specific moment in your life from high school or your childhood that you wanted to be, that you decided to go down the engineering route?
Yeah, for me, it was more just about what I was good at, frankly, or what I enjoyed doing the most in school. So I was always most interested in math and in physics and science. And so those were the most compelling and interesting problems to solve for me in school. And so I knew I wanted to go down a path like that. My dad was an engineer, but at first I was kind of exploring some other ideas. I looked into like architecture and financial planning and some other math forward type options, but then got exposed to engineering a little more practically in high school and had the opportunity to do like a CAD drafting class and um in high school and was like, okay, yeah, this is interesting to me. And so that was the path. And then when it was time to pick a major, and even a little before that, I was pretty sure I wanted to do aerospace engineering. I thought that of the problems I could solve, I was most interested in things that flew. I thought it was most inspiring and interesting and compelling. So that's what had me get into aerospace engineering.
And what was some of your experiences like at the University of Michigan as an aerospace engineer?
Yeah, it was great. It was intense at times. There were some classes that were really, really challenging, and there's not a lot of ways of getting around that, right? Some of them weren't too challenging for me. Some of them were challenging but fun. Others were just challenging and painful. And so, um, you just got to know that there's going to probably be a wide variety like in those classes, and some of that's dictated by what you're interested in and your approach to those classes, and some of that might be um, what the professor's like or what you have going on in life at that time. And so it really varied a lot. I'd say I usually took about 4 classes, and I was fortunate that no one semester was way, way, way harder than the rest. I pretty much always had one or two good classes, one or
Mhm.
two not so good. They're more challenging or not as fun, and so it kept as a good balance. And I enjoyed it, and I was fortunate to not really need to work while I was in college, and I was able to just focus on my studies. And I also didn't really do a student project group, which I actually do recommend to a lot of people. So I was able to just focus largely on, enjoying my college experience and doing well in my courses. But I know it looks very different for a lot of people.
hmm and I know you're technically not an engineer right now, but what does like a day look like for you at your company now? What do you help what do you help people do at your company now?
Yeah, great question. I mean, me personally, what I'm doing, I do a lot of like business operations. So I run a lot of the things that need to keep moving in a business in order for the rest of the organization to function. So some of the less glamorous stuff like payroll and HR and legal and accounting and those types of things, but I also do a lot of other leadership for our team, and sometimes I'm also running searches myself. So currently I'm in the middle of looking for a vice president of spacecraft engineering at a startup that has one founder and they just hired two people. And so we're looking at like brand new company and hiring a really influential leader who knows how to build and fly spacecraft. So for to do that, I'm looking at profiles mostly on LinkedIn to understand who would be a good fit for this, right? Have they yeah, maybe what schools have they been to, but at this point in their career, it's more about what companies have they worked at and what have they accomplished and what roles have they accomplished those things. And making sure I pair that well with what I know about the company. I'm working closely with this founder to understand his needs and his organization. And um, I think that my engineering background, both in school and also working at SpaceX and then at an early stage startup, has really helped me to be able to say, like, not just like I understand more than most about what you're saying technically, but also I've like done this work and it's
Mhm.
I understand what it takes to be successful.
Mhm.
So yeah, my day now looks more kind of like that, but that's when I was at SpaceX, it looked very, very different.
Mhm. And where did you learn the business skills and the how to learn to be the brains behind the operation? Did you go to more education for that, or what was your process to learn how to be that type of person for your company?
Yeah, it was pretty incremental for me and just kind of learning as I go. There's been a little bit of like consuming books and stuff like that, but largely it's been just figuring out where I'm at and what we need for this stage. And then as we grow, like what new skills do I need to learn and what do we need to do differently to reach the next stage. And so our business has been around for over 6 years now, and um, we now have a team of about 10 of us. And so it's not a huge operation. It's not growing crazy fast, but there's obviously a lot's changed in those 6 years. It's allowed me to grow in that domain more incrementally, and I get support where I need it, right? I
Mhm.
have an accountant who does our taxes, and I um hired a bookkeeper from him to help, do a lot of the bookkeeping, but I also did a lot of that first so that I could understand it myself before
Mhm.
I outsourced it. So it's really about getting the support you need, knowing what you know, knowing what you don't know, and then just taking the time to learn the things you don't know. And fortunately, as you know, coming from an engineering background and then getting into um, business, it's not too challenging to learn a lot of those basics because it's frankly fairly simple math, and so it's just about being grounded in the truths and having good organizational like hygiene for those things.
Mhm. And what advice would you give to a high schooler that is looking to go to college? What should a good engineering program have? And is it professors? Is it clubs? Is it machines that they have? What should a good engineering college have?
Yeah, all the above. Um, I think that an important thing or reality to understand about college education for engineering is that unless you're getting into something really, really, really highly technical that like requires a master's, or more importantly, requires like a PhD, most likely your engineering degree is there to serve you to get your first job, maybe your second job, support you in kind of learning the fundamentals of engineering and getting into the workforce. After that, your work experience is going to matter so much more than your engineering degree. Um, but it's still like that first job also makes like all the difference in the world for your career. Like
Hmm.
because I went to the University of Michigan, I got a good GPA, and because I did internships early on, it allowed me to get a job at SpaceX pretty early. And then that having worked at SpaceX has opened up so many doors for me. So I don't
Hmm.
want to minimize it, but at the same time, what I think is most important to most engineers in the long run is what are they actually doing with that knowledge and
Mm-hmm.
what practical experience are you getting? So, um, in a lot of places, that you might actually be more better off focusing more of your energy on student project groups. Can you do Formula SAE or some Solar Car, some of these other ones to learn how
Mm-hmm.
to actually build things with your hands and test them and when to use the right different types of analysis. I think that practical experience can be more important. So I think you just want to go in with a plan of how you want to prioritize your time and what you're looking for um in an educational program. And even if you're not doing heavy engineer and student project groups, I think having programs that still do give you access to like a lot of really great labs, that's gonna really help you learn a lot. And so
Mm-hmm.
those are some of the things that I would keep an eye out for. I think having
Mm-hmm.
a going to a school that's very reputable will really help you get your first job, but also is not all that matters.
Mm-hmm. And how is your current company and going to evolve with the advancements in technology? And how do you hope what is your plan for for your company going forward? And what does the future look like?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, we're in the middle of the AI revolution, right? There's so much happening. These AI models are evolving so quickly and taking on tasks more and more effectively each day. And I think that we are already seeing how that works in software and the impact that's having there. And I think we're going to start to see that evolve more and more into hardware. My company AdAstra is focused almost exclusively or exclusively with hardware startups. And so we're not necessarily working with the open AIs of the world that are doing more pure software. But I think what we're going to see evolve is that ev these AI models will start to get into the world of robotics and any other and like all sorts of other physical domains. Physical or embodied AI will be huge in due time. And so I think that's where we're really keeping our eye out for. We have a passion for hardware, and I think the intersection of AI and software with hardware will be coming but before you know it. And I'm also very passionate about space. So like what will that look like, right? What
Mm-hmm.
will having autonomous robotic spacecraft on orbit look like? I think there's been literally like a dozen space robots ever flown. That's
Mm-hmm.
it, right?
Yeah.
That's like so few. That number is going to grow exponentially, and those robots are going to have more and more autonomy. And it's a whole new spacefaring domain that we're gonna see evolve, and not just on Earth, but in space.
Mm-hmm. And you've moved on from engineering into this new company, but if you didn't do either engineering or this or at Astra that you're doing now, what do you think you'd be doing as a career, or just what hobby would you do more often, and what would be your career path?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I've kind of already done the non-traditional engineer move, right?
Hmm.
And not a lot of people go from engineering into hiring and recruiting, and I love it. I don't, and I'm also a business owner and not and able to wear a lot of the hats that go with running a business. Now, our business also really closely tied to venture capital, and um, we partner with venture capital firms who are partnering with these early stage startups, and there's a whole ecosystem there. And I'm also very fascinated by how venture capital works. And I think a lot of the transitive skills that got me to be able to go from being an engineer and support hiring, and now some more of my knowledge on the business side can support me well in venture capital. So I think likely our business will evolve and grow into being even more closely tied to venture. And I think that's an area of interest for me. And I think we've seen more engineers go from engineering to venture than I have from engineering to hiring. And so I think that that's I've seen that work really well, and I think is of interest to me too.
Mhm. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Brian, for doing this with me. That'll be all. If you like this episode of An Engineer's Journey, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment if I should do a season 2, and comment any additional questions you'd like me to ask. That'll be all. Bye bye.